Remember the woman in Tulsa? She was not a survival expert. She was an ordinary woman with a used minivan and the two worst years of her life, and she slept safely through 4 winters because she turned her vulnerability into a discipline. Face the exit. Stay behind the locks. Sleep near light and witnesses. Keep 2 ways out. Let one person always know where you are. And trust the detector, the horn, and your gut over your pride every single time. Most homeowners never build the kind of awareness she built in that Honda, and it is worth having whether you ever spend a night in a vehicle or not. The cold is the one opponent on this list that never takes a night off, which is why the TerraShell link is sitting in the description. And if you want the other half of this life, the invisibility half, there is a video on your screen right now covering the stealth rules long-term van dwellers use to stay unseen on any street in America. The parking windows, the work van disguise, the rotation system, it picks up exactly where this one leaves off. And here it is. The mistake from the very beginning of this video, the one made on freezing nights in the name of safety and comfort by people who believe they are doing the responsible thing. Every winter, somebody new to vehicle life buys a portable propane heater, runs it while they sleep in a sealed van, and trusts the label that says indoor safe. Indoor safe assumes ventilation, and a van with covered windows and closed doors has almost none. The flame eats oxygen and can produce carbon monoxide, and the sleeper never feels a thing. Combine that with mistake number 3, a nightcap on top of a burning heater, and you have the exact scenario that turns up in news stories every January. The rule from trick number 8 is absolute for a reason. Flames are for cooking with a door open at dinner time. Sleep is for blankets, wool, body heat, and a reflective bivy with a carbon monoxide detector watching over all of it. The cold is patient, but it is beatable with physics. It is only unbeatable when people fight it with fire in a sealed box. Mistake number 5, the propane bedroom heater. A thump against the van at 3 in the morning, and every instinct says, get out and look. It is the worst move available. Outside, alone, in the dark, you have traded a locked steel room for open pavement. The veterans handle noise in strict order. Listen first and check the sound map. Then look through the windows or a mirror without turning on a light. If something is genuinely wrong, hit the horn, because a horn blast at 3 in the morning is a floodlight made of sound, and nobody up to no good stays for it. And if the feeling of wrong persists, climb into the driver's seat and leave. Notice what is not on the list. The door never opens. One man summarized 30 years of collective wisdom in 9 words. Nothing outside that van needs you standing next to it. Mistake number 4, opening up to investigate. A bottle tucked beside the driver's seat, a sleeping pill waiting in the cup holder, and after a stressful day, it feels like mercy. Inside a vehicle, alone, it is a triple hazard. It dulls the only alarm system that never needs batteries, your own hearing and judgment. It slows your body's ability to generate heat, which in winter turns a cold night into a dangerous one. And if a knock comes from an officer, you are now impaired in the driver's compartment of a vehicle, which in many states invites a conversation you absolutely do not want. The people who lasted years out there are almost boringly disciplined about this. Sleep comes from exhaustion, warmth, and routine, never from a bottle. One veteran put it bluntly. Out here, he said, your reflexes are the deadbolt. Do not drug the deadbolt. Mistake number 3, the nightcap. A solo sleeper lies in bed scrolling a phone, and outside, 2 things are now true. The glow announces that a person is inside, awake and distracted, and the phone itself, plus whatever power station or cables are visible, announces that the vehicle contains electronics worth stealing. Thieves walk parking lots looking through windshields for exactly this. The fix costs nothing. Screens dimmed to minimum or off entirely, devices charged inside a closed bag, and nothing electronic visible from any window. Several long-timers say they switched to audiobooks with a single earbud. One ear always open to the sound map from trick number 7, and they describe it as the best trade they ever made. Dark van, open ear, hidden gear. Mistake number 2, the lit-up phone and the visible charge. This one feels so reasonable that arguing against it sounds wrong. A frightened beginner looks for the most remote spot possible, a trailhead, an empty field, a forgotten lot behind a shuttered factory, thinking that no people means no danger. But remote spots do not remove people. They remove witnesses. The rare person who does wander through an abandoned lot at 2 in the morning is exactly the person you do not want to meet. And now there is nobody within a mile to hear a horn, an alarm, or a shout. Police who work these cases say the pattern is grimly consistent. Vehicle crime against sleepers clusters in the isolated spots, not the semi-public ones. The hospital lot with cameras and shift workers is boring, and boring is safe. The scenic pull-off with no cell signal is peaceful, and peaceful can be a trap. The rule the veterans follow reverses the instinct entirely. Sleep where a scream means something. Stealth hides you from the city. Safety is about who could hear you. The best spots, like that hospital lot, quietly do both. Mistake number 1, choosing isolation for safety. Every experienced solo sleeper tells the same story eventually. They pulled into a spot that checked every box. Good light, 2 exits, quiet, legal, and something felt wrong. Not a sound, not a person, nothing they could point to, just a low hum of wrong. The beginners talk themselves out of that feeling because they are tired and the spot looks fine. The veterans have a hard rule. If the gut says no, the answer is no, and you get 3 seconds to obey it. Hands on the wheel, engine on, tail lights leaving the lot, even if the next spot is 30 minutes away, even if you cannot explain why. The human brain processes danger signals below conscious thought. A shape in a doorway, headlights that swept your mirrors twice, a silence where there should be noise, and it reports them as a feeling before it can report them as a fact. One woman who lived in a Subaru for 3 years said she drove away from perfect spots 11 times and never once found out what her gut had seen. She also said that is exactly the point. You do not stay to find out. So those are the 10 tricks, but knowing them is only half of it, because 5 common mistakes can cancel every one of them in a single night. And the first one reverses an instinct that almost every frightened beginner trusts completely. Number 10, the 3-second gut rule. People who sleep in vehicles get targeted for one reason. Someone believes there is something worth taking. So the veterans wage a quiet campaign to look like they own nothing. The dashboard stays bare. No phone mounted in view, no charging cables snaking over the seats, no laptop bag, no cooler, nothing but an old napkin and maybe a parking stub. Real valuables live in a hidden compartment, under the bed platform, inside an empty paint bucket, places no smash and grab thief has time to search. And then comes the trick that has ended countless robberies without a fight. The decoy wallet, an old billfold holding $20 in small bills, a couple of expired gift cards, and an old ID. If the worst happens and someone demands money, the decoy gets handed over instantly. No argument, no hesitation, and the encounter ends. One man who spent a decade around truck stops and rest areas said he never met an old-timer who did not carry one. $20, he said, is the cheapest exit ever invented. Your goal every night is to be the least rewarding target on the block, and the final trick is the one that overrules all the others. Number 9, the decoy wallet and the poverty disguise. Nobody sleeping in a vehicle has ever been killed by the cold as often as by the ways people fight the cold. Running the engine for heat while snow packs around the tailpipe, burning a candle or a camp stove in a sealed cabin. Every winter, ordinary people die of carbon monoxide poisoning in ordinary parked cars, and they never feel it coming because the gas has no smell and the first symptom is sleep. So the people who survive years of winters in vehicles hold one rule absolutely. When it is time to sleep, the engine goes off, every flame goes out, and a small battery carbon monoxide detector stands guard near the bed. $10 to $20, and it is the single most important piece of equipment in the vehicle. Warmth then comes from physics instead of fuel. Layers, a wool hat, and an enclosure that traps the heat your own body constantly produces. This is exactly why so many vehicle dwellers keep an emergency thermal bivvy on board, and honestly, it belongs in any car that drives through winter. A lot of the long-timers settled on one called Terra Shell. Folded, it is about the size of a soda can, small enough to live in a door pocket until the temperature drops. Opened up, it is a full-body sleeping bag with a reflective lining that catches roughly 90% of the heat your body gives off and sends it straight back at you. Nothing to plug in, nothing to burn, nothing to leave running. You climb in cold, you are warm within minutes, and the van stays dark, silent, and full of clean air. The link is in the description if you want one riding in your glove box before the next cold snap, because a warm body in a silent van is invisible and safe. A running engine in a snowbank is a coffin with headlights, and once your survival is handled, the next trick handles your property. Number 8, engine off, flame off, heat from your own body. Here is something nobody tells beginners, and its absence causes more terrifying nights than any actual danger. An unfamiliar parking spot is full of innocent noises. A cooling engine ticks, a dumpster lid bangs in the wind, a shopping cart rolls, an ice machine behind a restaurant thumps every 40 minutes. To a person who just closed their eyes in a strange place, every one of those those sounds is a man at the door. So the veterans spend the first 20 minutes after parking doing nothing but listening with their eyes open. They learn the rhythm of the spot, the train that passes at 11, the delivery truck that idles behind the grocery store, the heat pump on the roof next door. Once a sound has a name, it loses its teeth. Then, when a truly unfamiliar sound arrives at 3 in the morning, they know it instantly because it does not belong to the map. The Tulsa woman from the beginning of this video swore by this habit above all others. She said the 20-minute listen was the difference between 4 years of sleep and 4 years of flinching. And speaking of the middle of the night, we now come to the rule where more solo sleepers die than in any confrontation. Number 7. Map the sounds before you sleep. Sleeping alone in a vehicle means that if something happens to you, nobody knows where you are. Not tonight, not tomorrow, possibly not for weeks. The experienced solo crowd solves this with a ritual so simple it feels almost silly. One person, one text, every day. A sister, an old friend, an adult son or daughter. The message is short. The city, the general spot, and a good morning to follow the next day. If the morning text ever fails to arrive, that one person knows the location and knows to make a call. People who have lived this life for years say the check-in changed more than their safety. It changed their sleep, because the loneliest part of vehicle living is the feeling that you could vanish and the world would not notice. The daily text is proof that someone would notice within hours. One man called his nightly message to his brother the cheapest insurance policy in America. It costs nothing, and it turns a solo sleeper into someone with backup. If this video is earning its place on your screen, take 1 second and hit subscribe, because this channel digs into street-tested survival knowledge like this every single week. Now, let's get back to the system, because the next trick is about what you do in the first 20 minutes after the engine stops. Number 6. The check-in contact. Never park anywhere you can be boxed in. It sounds paranoid until you hear the stories. A dead-end alley where one car pulling in behind you closes the door. A gorgeous overlook with a single narrow entrance. A private lot where a gate gets chained at midnight with you inside it. Veterans scan every potential spot with one question. If something goes wrong, how many directions can I drive? The answer needs to be at least 2. A pull-through spot beats a backed-in spot. A corner lot with 2 street exits beats a pocket lot with 1. Even on a street, they leave a full car length ahead of the bumper so they can pull out without a 3-point turn. One man who spent 8 years between a pickup camper and a cargo van said he turned down beautiful, quiet, perfect spots hundreds of times for exactly one reason: only one way out. He called those spots bottles, and he refused to sleep inside a bottle no matter how pretty the label was. Now, everything so far protects you in the moment. The next trick protects you across time, and it is the one solo sleepers skip most often. Number 5. The 2-exit rule. Beginners assume the safest place to sleep is total darkness, where nobody can see them. The people with years of experience learn the opposite lesson, sometimes the hard way. Complete darkness hides everyone, including whoever else might be out there. The spot they actually look for is the edge of light, close enough to a lamp that the area around the vehicle is visible, far enough that the interior stays dim behind the window covers, near enough to some low-level activity, a hospital entrance, a 24-hour gym, an all-night diner, that a scream or a horn would be heard, but not so close that foot traffic passes the doors all night. One woman who slept alone in a minivan through 2 Michigan winters described her ideal spot as the second row of a hospital parking lot, under the glow but not under the pole, 30 seconds from a lit entrance with a security camera. In 4 years, she never had a single incident, and she credits the geography more than anything she did inside the van. And geography includes one more detail that most people never consider until it is too late. Number 4. Park on the edge of light. The doors lock the moment the body is inside. Not after dinner, not at bedtime, immediately. That habit sounds obvious, but ask around and you will hear the same confession over and over. The scariest moments people experienced happened in the first year, in that casual window when the side door was still unlocked because they were just getting settled. Long-timers treat the click of the locks as the official start of the night, as automatic as a deadbolt at home. Then most of them add a second layer that costs almost nothing. Small battery door alarms from any hardware store, the kind that shriek at 120 decibels when a door opens. Stick one on each door for a few dollars apiece. Now nobody can open your vehicle quietly, and quiet is the one thing an intruder absolutely requires. Some keep a marine air horn in the bed area too, because a blast of sound in a still parking lot ends nearly every bad situation before it starts. Criminals hunt for silence and easy targets. A van that screams is neither, but an alarm is your last line. Your first line is where you chose to park hours earlier. failure. Number 3. Lock discipline and the door alarm that screams. Here is a mistake that shows up in almost every beginner van build. People construct a beautiful bed platform in the back, pile it with storage, and create a wall of bins between where they sleep and where they drive. Veterans call that arrangement a trap with curtains. The people who have slept alone for years keep one principle sacred. You must be able to get from your sleeping position into the driver's seat without opening a single door, because the moment you step outside at 3 in the morning, you have surrendered every advantage you had. The locked doors, the steel shell, the horn, the engine, all of it stays behind you while you stand in a dark parking lot in your socks. A retired welder who spent 6 years in a Chevy Express said his entire security plan fit in one sentence. Inside the van, I am a problem for anyone. Outside the van, I am just an old man in the dark. So the bed stays low enough to crawl over, or the aisle stays open, and the vehicle remains one connected space. And the doors that keep that space sealed deserve their own rule. Number 2, never separate yourself from the driver's seat. Watch someone experienced pull into a parking lot for the night, and you will notice something. They never pull forward into a spot. They back in or pull through every single time, so the front of the vehicle faces the way out. The reason is simple and cold. If trouble comes at 2 in the morning, the difference between backing out of a space while frightened and simply pressing the gas pedal is the difference between 30 fumbling seconds and 3. One man who lived in a Ford Transit across the Southwest for 5 years put it this way. He said, "The van is not just your bedroom, it is your escape vehicle, and no getaway driver in history ever parked facing the wall." The nose-out habit comes with 2 partners. The keys sit in the exact same spot every night, usually a cup holder or a hook, never loose in a jacket pocket. And the driver's seat stays empty. No laundry, no cooler, no clutter. The path from bed to wheel stays clear because in a real emergency, you do not search, you do not climb over boxes, you move. But being ready to drive only matters if you can actually reach the wheel, which brings us to the layout rule. Number 1, sleep nose out. There is a woman in Tulsa who spent 4 winters sleeping alone in a Honda Odyssey after a divorce took her house and a layoff took everything else. 4 winters. Nobody ever broke into that van while she was inside it. Nobody ever opened a door on her. And she never once lay frozen in the dark, heart pounding at a sound outside without knowing exactly what she was going to do about it. Her secret was not a weapon, and it was not luck. It was a 10-part safety system that people who sleep alone in vehicles teach each other quietly in parking lots and online forums because their lives genuinely depend on it. This video walks through the entire system and then the 5 mistakes that get solo sleepers hurt. Pay close attention to the last mistake because thousands of people make it every cold night believing it keeps them safe, when it is actually the most dangerous thing you can do inside a parked vehicle. Whether you travel alone, drive long distances, or just want to know how people survive on the margins, this knowledge transfers. So let's start with the trick that every experienced vehicle dweller performs before they even shut off the engine.